Greetings. I see you've made your way past enemy lines to the Dark Outpost. Welcome, Patriots. I'm David Zublik, your host on this excursion to the darkest outposts of the human mind and beyond. Thank you for being with us. We appreciate it. We have a great show coming up for you today. Some interesting news items that we're going to go over, and we are expected in just a couple of moments to be joined by the great John Carmen of CustomsCorruption.com to discuss those issues. He's coming into the studio right now as we speak. We will be with John for quite a bit of the program, and in the final hour will be open lines. We're looking forward to a lot of great conversation with you. Just a reminder, tomorrow night, Saturday night, right here on Rumble, we are going to be doing a special 3-hour edition of Dark Outpost open lines with you, just you and me, for the entire 3 hours, talking about whatever's on your mind. Now, obviously, I'm going to have some things on my mind that I want to talk about, but we'll open it up to anything. So it's 9 p.m. to midnight Eastern time. Just go to our website, darkoutpost.com, tomorrow night, and you'll be able to click to go right to the live show at 9 p.m. Eastern time. So we'll get with John Carmen in just a moment, but before we do that, let's do as we do each and every day here on this wonderful broadcast and take just a moment or two to honor our nation and its flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, thank you very much. Quick question for you. If you have been trying to lose weight without success, wouldn't it be nice to know that it's really not your fault? Even if it is your fault, it's really not your fault, because struggling with weight is usually caused by metabolism, genes, that sort of thing. I'm not saying that you shouldn't work out. I'm not saying that you shouldn't diet, but sometimes you can do all of that and still struggle with weight problems. Even getting a good night's sleep might not be enough to help you. The good news is there's a solution, and it's called, right here, Keto Elevate. I want to show this to you real quick. Keto Elevate, great product. I use it myself, and since I've been taking it, lost a few pounds. I've specifically noticed that most of the fat loss has been around my waist, which is where it seems to accumulate the most. It's the easiest, quickest path to weight loss that I have ever experienced. And you can learn more about this great product by going to ketowithdavid.com, ketowithdavid.com, and you'll get 51% off your first bag if you order within the next 24 hours and a 60-day money-back guarantee. So go to ketowithdavid.com. All right, let us bring in the guy that we really enjoy having on the program each and every week, the great John Carmen. John, how are you? Welcome aboard.
Good, I guess, sort of. I'm just looking at all these notes I've been sending you in the last week or 8 to 10 hours, because I go in one of these rush things where I'm picking up all kinds of stuff,
Right, sure.
And by the way, for those trolls out there who are watching, I know what real intel is, because I get attacked. You guys have to understand.
I know. I cannot believe that, and most, I must say, I would say at least 10 to 15 emails a week about your appearances, and that's obviously there's a lot of people that watch the show and they never email, just like there's people that listen to radio shows and don't call in, but that doesn't mean that people aren't listening. There's just a small percentage that actually take the time to write. So if 10 to 15 people a week are writing about your appearance, there's a lot more, and all of those people really like what you do, and yet at the same time, I know that you from time to time get these trolls on here, as you call them, who, they say, well, what is he talking about? He doesn't know anything, and blah, 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 blah. I don't understand it, but.
Well, I do. See, that's the whole point, is I understand what's going on. They don't. You have to have an ear to understand the message, folks. And I'm saying this to the trolls out there. If there are a few people out there who have a question, I've always asked people, go ahead, send me a question. I've been nice enough with arthritic fingers and all that to try and text them. But I prefer that you just give me a phone number. I'll call you up if it's necessary, and I'll talk to you. And I've done this with several people. And there's some people with some very interesting backgrounds, and their mental capacities may be in question or not, or maybe they have some issues psychologically or not. But you see, they are not trained in evaluations of people psychologically. I'm the guy that interviewed John W. Hinckley in 1976 in front of the White House. Do you not get that? I was trained to interview people like that who are a risk to the country, to the
And
country.
if people had paid attention to the fact that you interviewed this man and listened to what you had to say,
Yes.
we might have avoided a real tragedy.
Well, the problem is this duty agent didn't put him at St. Elizabeth's Hospital that night. And I was out looking for Carlos the Jackal, Ilia Ramirez Sanchez. Now, see, just as I said the name, Carlos the Jackal, that might ring a few bells, but I actually spelled it out for a few other people, his actual real name, Ilia Ramirez Sanchez. Now, how many of you out there knew that that was his real name? How many people let it go one ear and out the other? They didn't hear that because they weren't listening. One thing I learned for many, many years while I'm still on this planet is that you have to be disciplined. You have to learn how to listen and translate the information you're getting and operate on what the information is or not. See what I mean? I qualified it just now by saying that. How you do something or not, how you act or don't act. I mean, it's redundant. It's just like trying to explain to some really low-level, first graders. And I've seen first graders that get that. Even there was an interview, some show I tripped over yesterday. There was a gentleman who was talking to him about science and the shot. And these kids, they were about first grade, second grade, third, something like that.
Yeah.
Very smart, very intelligent. They know how to talk up to a certain level, but they understand what's true. Children are born without prejudice. They're born without these other preconceived ideas. And thank God they don't watch CNN or some of these other corrupted and controlled news media outlets, which is one of the biggest problems. And I used to send emails to Trump before. I said, why do you keep people like Mr. Microphone? Remember that guy?
Yeah.
Right? He's hogging the microphone. You've asked your question, and he's refusing to relinquish the microphone, that kind of thing. You don't need the news media people at the White House, folks. You can move them off campus. They're lucky to have a pass.
There is no requirement that you hold any press conferences whatsoever. You can send out press releases about your policies. I mean, it would look bad, but there's really no requirement. And
if you go back far enough, you can look at some of the stuff that John F. Kennedy. He was perfect. I love John F. Kennedy. He was great. I wasn't that old, but I was 10 years old in 63, just to give you guys a time frame. But I'm not stupid either. And I used to listen very carefully, even at that age and before.
Hey, so did I. I was into politics and news, and I was eight years old, honestly. And that's because I went to school, as you did, at a time when we really, social studies meant history, geography, current events, that sort of thing.
Yes.
Not social justice, not white privilege, how to masturbate, in your privacy of your own home. Not anal sex. It was
Sleep.
Yeah.
bleep. But yeah, there's a big difference. They had a big conference, news conference at the executive office building. That's the EOB. That's on the other side of the White House, folks. The old War Department, AKA Eisenhower building, EOB. But they change names all the time. I mean, if that jerk that's there now wanted to change the name to something else and try to paint it different colors, God help us.
Yeah. I wouldn't be
And I'm still questioning. I'm still questioning stuff. When are they going to take action? When are they going to do something? My intel. And let me back up. We were going to talk about that. I forgot. See, we got preempted because of some serious technological issues.
Yeah, we did. Which after today will not happen again, by the way. I have a backup internet starting tomorrow that will prevent this from happening again. But go ahead.
Well, I like the split screen thing, too. It's kind of cool.
Yeah, I decided. Well, you know why? I'm going to tell you why I did that, and you're going to find this interesting.
I can't reach over and grab you.
Yeah, just to digress, why I changed it. I have a guest coming on, not next week, but the week after. She works for CBS, and she is a a meteorologist that worked for the local CBS affiliate here in Detroit, and she refused to CBS's policy to take the vaccine. And furthermore, she went on the air and said something about it during her weather forecast and said, I'm refusing to take the vaccine, and they're making this a policy. So they fired her. So I reached out to her, and she has agreed to come on the program. And when I didn't think she would know necessarily who I am. And she goes, oh, are you the guy that interviews Jesse Saboter all the time? I watch you all the time. I was hoping you'd reach out to me. So she's coming on the program. She says, the only reason I didn't know it was you when you first contacted me is, she says, because I see your videos on, somebody is reposting my stuff on Instagram.
Yeah.
And she said, but there's no identification as to who you are on your screen other than your name. So I put the little dark Outpost at the top now and split the screen up so that people will know. Plus, it's branding. It's branding.
Yeah, you have to have a copyright trademark. And by the way, folks, people that take the interviews and repost them elsewhere without giving proper credit is in violation of law, too.
It is. So, however, I will tell you that in my personal case, if somebody wants to do that, I don't have a problem with it, because the more the more the word gets out, the better. I'm not going to piss on anybody for doing that. That's fine.
Yeah. And I don't want to turn it into a law class either, but that's just part of my background.
Yeah,
I've even had people do snapshots and photo shots of the pictures. So if I'm on there, you can bet there's at least one stalker, and I think you're aware of who that stalker is.
Oh yeah.
And I'm sure they're watching right now. But you know what? They're making so many false statements and conjectures and all kinds of stuff, and they screwed up. They could have had, a communication with me or not, but they screwed up. So, folks, if you want to really get into a direct communication with somebody who was there at the White House or in law enforcement or at the border, then I can do that. But anyway,
so what were we going to talk about that we didn't? You started to say,
we were going to get into the thing about the background. See, I'm still a member of professional groups that are out of law enforcement that you spend your life with.
Okay.
I risked my life wearing a badge. Sometimes I didn't have to wear a badge or a gun, but I still did the work. And in professional organizations like Secret Service, you become professional members of certain professional organizations. I'll mention one or two. As is would be like the Association of Special Investigators, or I forget some of the acronyms. But that's not important. It's just the idea that I'm a member of several organizations. One would be like CNOA. There's an easy one. I'm a lifetime member. You're a regular member. You pay dues for 10 years as long as you're law enforcement. And I was U.S. Customs at the time in the state of California, so I'm a lifetime member forever.
Okay. Awesome.
So I get emails. I get a magazine for free once in a while, and it shows cool stuff. Problem is, David and folks, I'll suggest information for an article because they're asking for information. What would be a good article if you have information or have a good story, blah, blah, blah. They're pretty good, and they put some nice photos. Here's a big drug seizure. Their idea of a big drug seizure is so small compared to what I got at the border that 600 pounds in the trunk of a car would make a guy's career in a state and local level. Everybody is being lied to at every level, every angle, three-dimensional and outside this box. They don't get it. You have to learn. This is what I'm trying to teach people. You have to learn to think outside the box. If they show something on the screen or show you something in real life, excuse me, then you have to evaluate what that is. You have to ask the right questions, just like I did. I've always done it. Is that what they're trying to pretend it is? And so on and so forth. What are the laws behind it? All kinds of things. I mean, I think about so many things depending on what it is. I got General Flynn up here posted by mistake on the Telegram, which I'm on.
Yes.
And it's good for intel too. Not that I'm going to call it a direct intel source, but I've still got sources in the federal government. You know, one guy made what was that movie, Falcon and the Snowman? Remember that one?
Yes.
The black dude, I can't think of his name. He was a coworker at this place that was like TRW, but they called it TRX or something.
Yes.
It was one of the biggest spy agency related configurations because they were using satellites allegedly, and that was bait information. But the black guy said at one point, "Hey, your old man was FBI, was he? Hey, once FBI, always FBI." There's a saying. And it may be true and it holds true if you're real active. I was very, very active. What's the word? Prolific. Today's word, folks, is prolific.
Prolific. The password is prolific.
There you go.
Remember that game?
That was perfect, David. I like that. That made me think about that show. I'm in pain. I had to adjust my pain meds because I was in such pain I couldn't even get up without feeling it, you know. And then I went and did some blood tests yesterday just to show off. Look at that.
Oh, wow.
This is the actual blood test up here. When they put the pressure thing on it and put a tape over it, somehow I bruised myself on the second one. Or I got bit last night and didn't feel it. Right?
Or it's an alien implant.
Yeah, exactly. I already took a magnet to it and I don't have any.
Oh, okay. So good.
No problem there.
And I got some interesting news I wanted, because part of what I'm going to tell you today came out subsequent to our last visit, but we haven't had a chance to talk about it. And another thing, I've got some breaking news today, which I think you're going to find interesting about the vaccine. But I want you to continue your thought.
like graphene oxides?
No, it's not that.
Oh,
but
it's something else? Okay,
Yeah.
okay. All right. Well, I'll go back a little bit. But where was I? Where was I talking?
You got your blood tested.
Yeah, I know. I was skipping past that.
Oh, okay.
But, I was talking about if people aren't on Telegram.
Yes.
I don't use Twitter anymore.
Yeah,
Oh, I got a warning on Facebook. They've got a thing when you refresh the page. So I now have a little thing here off to the side. Let me go to it and read it. It's like a little warning strip on my page. It says account warning, big bold prints with triangle, black triangle, and an exclamation point. Only you can see this warning, or only you can see this. So they're already threatening me because I'm posting the truth. And I don't know what it was. And I've already posted stuff about, Marjorie. Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene, Greene. Why did I spell that out, folks? Because I'm doing it for a reason. I want you to think. Why did he say that? Why did he spell it out? Maybe some of you might write it down. Maybe some of you might remember the name.
Yes.
I'm sorry.
She is a patriot. Marjorie Taylor Greene is a patriot.
Yes, she's very good. She's been out there. She's a fighter. Blonde. She seems kind of short compared to those pictures I've seen of her at the border. But as soon as I saw the video, I went straight to her Facebook, sent her a bunch of messages. She's probably overloaded with it, or a staff member, and they don't know what to do. oh my God, there's a real whistleblower. Oh my God, he really worked there for 15 years. I know what's going on. I know what really goes on, that the congressmen and congresswomen, when they come down to those locations, announced or unannounced, they're dog and pony shows. That's what we call them. Management will pull in extra personnel. They'll pull in extra operations. They'll pull in extra canines just to impress these people and say, see, this is what we're doing 24/7. That's a lie. What they claim is, well, we're showing them what we could do if we had more budgeted information and money and all kinds of stuff so we could support this stuff. Great. And then as soon as they leave, they cut back the personnel that were there. We go back to minimum average so that we're struggling all the time. Now, I corrected somebody's, some stats that was on there. And I was sending you some stuff about, what was the guy's name? Bennett.
The former Secretary of Education?
Yeah, I've reached out to him before too.
William Bennett?
Yeah, there you go. I've reached out to him before too, and he was talking about the deaths on a OAN or Fox News. I think it was Fox News. And I go through all these networks and check all kinds of stuff, and I pull out stuff that comes out of the airwaves, because you need to know that when other people look at it, they have no idea what that means. When they say that there's attributed so many assaults and murders during a year, 1,000 or something like that, fentanyl and the drugs are 93,000 per year right now. We are under a drug invasion by the cartels, by the Chinese.
Yep.
Fentanyl comes from China and other locations, and they've been doing this for years. So if they could smuggle that stuff in and other people are going to make money off of it, they don't care about you. They'll give you an item, smoke it, drink it, eat it, ingest it. And it will kill you because it's got more than one little teeny tiny drop of fentanyl in it. It would be like me taking the tip of this Bic pen and just touching it, and touching, that's the amount that would be needed. They use it in surgery because it helps to relax your body a certain way so that they can do the surgery. I've had some similar surgeries when I had a kidney stone removed just a year and a half ago, 9 millimeter.
Wow. Was that painful?
Well, yeah.
Not the surgery, but I mean when you were suffering from them, because everyone I know that's ever had kidney stones, it's painful.
Yeah, it's constant pain. It's traveling down the tube, and if it can't get past a certain location from the renal, from the kidney area, you can die from it. Let's make no mistake about that. I had my belt tightened once, and I was driving somewhere with a friend. He was driving, and we were barely a mile out, and I said, "No, take me back. I'm feeling nauseous, like I was going to pass out or something." So as soon as I got back, I unbuckled my belt, and it was right in that region.
Wow.
But it gets stuck, and then that's why you have to go to surgery. But these damn doctors, I want to emphasize that, they let it go and let it go, just like the heart stuff that they tried to pressure me and extort me to do a nasal pharyngeal swab, which I refused.
Yeah, the old PCR test.
Yeah, the PCR, and I got tested negative anyway. But they'll give you propofol. There's another key ingredient that Michael Jackson allegedly was overdosed on. That kind of thing. That stuff is dangerous, folks. They don't know. In my experience as law enforcement, I had to help a guy out in San Diego PD who was supposed to be a senior field training officer or an FTO. And we made an arrest of some black people at a stadium at a Charger game because they were dealing out of a car, and they had what they called were sherms. Sherms are marijuana cigarettes wrapped with or laced with PCP.
Oh, wow.
Okay. So I already had all the training, but I was just being cautious and so forth. I mean, I'm talking about Secret Service training, federal law enforcement training, 19 weeks plus specialized academy stuff, another 6 to 8 weeks, blah, blah, blah. DEA trained, all these things before I was a San Diego police officer. But I didn't play that up. I just did what I was at that level. And the training officer accidentally, get this, accidentally, joke, opens up this thing and powder's flying. It's nighttime, and the lights at a table that we were set up at a trailer outside the stadium. I said, don't breathe that stuff in, man. Get away from that stuff. Don't open it up and breathe that stuff in. You'll get exposed. Dummy. He got exposed. I won't mention his name. But he started hallucinating, lights, sounds, whatever. I had to take him to the hospital and get him treated. Take his guns off, take him over there. They usually put earplugs, tape your eyes over so you don't get exposed. They put you in a dark recovery room of some sort or surgery room.
Yeah.
And they may give you a Darvon or some other type of a medication to counteract the stuff. So he still got exposed. And God bless him, he's okay. But he was kind of an ornery type. I wouldn't say that he deserved it, but you know how some people are stubborn and they don't learn? Don't touch that. You're going to burn yourself, right?
Yeah.
I think he got later picked up in SWAT. He's dangerous. He likes to take risky maneuvers or whatever. But anyway, that's just one story. The city. This is the city. 1 million people in it, right?
My name's Friday. Only once a week.
Hey,
but
Jack Webb, man.
Yeah. Okay, I want to talk just a brief about the vaccine here, and then we'll get to other things. Okay. This is a story that broke last week from a website called Great Game India. Moderna, one of the manufacturers of the vaccine, it turns out that documents have been uncovered that Moderna had the vaccine, their version of the vaccine, or at least a preliminary version of their vaccine, completed and ready to go, and they sent it to the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill. You ready for this? On December the 17th of 2019, before the pandemic broke out, which means this whole thing has been planned that was the icing on the cake to prove that this whole thing was planned from the beginning. And now today,
True.
A representative from Moderna has come out and said it's an experiment, and everyone who's taking these things are guinea pigs. We're all part of a big clinical trial. So everything we have suspected has now been admitted to by at least a representative of one of the vaccine companies. There you go.
Yeah, and I showed you something probably months and months ago, maybe last year, where I caught a flyer from a local UCSD medical people asking to have volunteers to take the shots, and they would pay them money.
Yeah, right.
And they're still doing it. Lap dances, free liquor, all kinds of stuff.
Oh, you about what they're doing in New York?
Oh, I think you had a show about it. Go ahead.
Yes, they're gonna offer them free food, a barbecue, a party,
Yep.
and conjugal visits with their significant others, or probably someone who's willing to have sex with them, provided they get the COVID shot.
Yes. Yes, it's a fact. And what you said, I'll go back and reiterate and reaffirm and support what you said. It goes back before 2019. It goes back to 2017.
Yep.
17 or 18, but I'm remembering 17. And they sent military troops, American troops, into an area near Wuhan, claiming they were on some sort of exercises. Now, see, this is where we're getting into the Marxist, Communist, Democrat lingo, or doublespeak. George Orwell, doublespeak. It's also like Shakespearean, Shakespeare was very good about that. And if you watch the old, what was the old movie or read the book, Romeo and Juliet?
Yes.
You could say certain things a certain way, but you never tell the truth flat out, because then you get in trouble by the queen or the king at the time, and they'll cut off an appendage or take out your tongue. But they found out that these exercises involved Americans, And they've given vaccines and those aerated shots, the
Yeah.
high pressure shot,
Yeah.
because they're just following orders. Oh my God, Uncle Adolf is rolling in his grave right now. They're stupid. They're so stupid. They're following orders, but they're doing something that's in violation of the Nuremberg Code. See where it's going with that? Nuremberg Code, folks. Nuremberg Code. Look it up. I said that for a reason. Okay. For those of you who know sign language.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now my next door neighbor does that, but he's got some sort of tremor illness, so you don't. So
I saw a woman with delirium tremors, is what we called it in training. And I'm EMT trained, first responder trained, all that stuff. I mean, who do you think is going to respond to the president, first family, or whoever back that far and before that? So this poor woman was making all these gestures continually, short of, the 5 things that you can't do at the same time or you'd probably die. You can't hiccup, choke, sneeze, blah, 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 whatever.
yeah, right.
But she's doing all these movements and, at the same time, just consistent. I was evaluating her. I was watching very carefully. Poor thing. She took the shot. She reacted. It's a nervous system attack. She hasn't obviously been taking the D3, the zinc, or the quercetin, or the ivermectin. By the way, I was craving ivermectin, so I took some more just because I felt like it.
Because you can.
There you go. Freedom, right? I don't need to, but it's just the idea, and I still have the pills. Oops, I dropped the box. I still have the backup pill,
Yeah.
and I'm going to get another set if I can. Then I'll take some of them just to do it, because what's going to happen is some of these other shows, somebody's trying to call me now. These other shows, no, it's not a 202 area code. Sorry. Hold on. By the way, I'm using my, it's nothing. I'm using my VPN today. So for those of you who say, oh, because of the interruptions we had over the last several months where they're cutting into my show or your show or our show, oh, you should use VPN. Really? Excuse me, that's got to do with a router and a modem. And if they cut me off at that level, having a VPN gets cut off too.
Yeah.
Duh.
Yeah, exactly.
Wait,
All the
let me
VPN
get
is
my blonde wig on here.
what a VPN does is protect you when you're surfing the internet. And by the way, Virtual Shield is the best one on the market. I have that, and I highly recommend that people get it. But that's not going to prevent you if somebody cuts the wire to your fiber optic cable or your fiber optic internet, which is what they did to me.
Well, they're flipping a switch. They could do it from the office, okay?
Yeah.
So if the guys in Langley don't want me to talk, cut him off, just like that. It's a signal. It's letting them know, or them letting me know. So anyway, I get sidetracked from that stupid announcement thing here. Where was I? Help me, David. Help me, David.
Well, we were talking about. Well, first of all, you were talking about the internet and surfing the and VPNs. Was that a sidetrack? Was that the sidetrack, or did you?
That was a sidetrack.
Were you talking about the ivermectin?
That's right, the ivermectin thing. So a lot of people don't get that, and I've been sending stuff out to other people on the list. There's still so many people that are not in tune with what we're talking about. We are at the forefront. Oh, I'll give you one that just popped into my head. Some of those other stations, we won't mention Owen and Alex and Mike, what's his face? I just listened to him again. It's a repeat. They're blocking that site continually from me. So I have to go to alternate sites to listen, or if it fails, I go to the other. But anyway, here's the thing. Nobody wants to mention the lieutenant from the Capitol Police Department that shot Ashley Babbitt.
Oh, yeah.
Michael Leroy Byrd, B-Y-R-D. Michael Leroy Byrd, B-Y-R-D. I said that for a reason. You heard it here first. Again, 3 times minimum, at least, previous shows, right? You can't go shoot. You can't go shooting your gun without doing a report. And if you shoot a person or a human or a being, you have to do a report. Turn your gun into ballistics so they can go test it, make sure everything was working. It wasn't an accidental discharge, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And there's going to be an official investigation. The guy may get days off administrative. Pending the investigation, he may get a desk job pending that, or he may be sent home pending that. Internal Affairs is going to talk to him. His superiors are going to talk to him. And they certainly should talk to some of these pendejos. That's for my Spanish-speaking friends out there, folks. We all know what pendejos are, or pendeja, people that are in the Capitol building right now, occupying the Capitol building. Those people should not be there. They're committing high treason. High treason. Oh, what code of law is that, John? 18 USC 2381, start there. 18 USC 2381. Type it into a Google DuckDuckGo search.
It's better. Yeah.
2381, 2382, 2383, 2384. Somewhere in there, you're going to get sedition, which I think was the last one. But the point is, people don't know what's going on, and they don't know about what should happen. Oh, they need to be held accountable. Oh, Texas, right? Texas, I'm going to say the word again. Arrests. 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 Sounds like something from the movie. Friend. Remember that?
Yes, I do.
That was
E.T., right?
Huh?
E.T.?
No.
Oh, that was Phone Home.
No, that was Phone Home. No, it was the other one with John Cusack when he was younger, and I forget the name of that. It was really a funny movie. But the point is that they don't want to talk about this information. And I'm going off track real quick because I got so much information going on here. They didn't want to say the guy's birds. Oh, Texas. Okay, focus, folks. Texas is going to be the staging point of, if anything happens, of what they're going to do. Democrats have been caught leaving the Capitol. They don't want to engage in doing a proper vote. What they're being stupid about is if they all left, the Republicans can vote all kinds of stuff while they're out. Because they say, oh, well, they can't do a majority because they have to have Democrats there. No, they don't. So they've been fleeing the country or fleeing the state to go to other locations. And the Texas governor, if I understood it correctly, and this is his problem, is claiming, well, they're going to be arrested when they get back because they fled the state and are avoiding doing their job to the people, okay? The people are in charge of this country. At least that's what we were told when they put "we the people" on the preamble part of the Declaration of Independence. So when they violate that and they all decide, well, we're all going to go to Hawaii, we're all going to go to Cuba or some other location and have a vacation, they're in violation and they're committing treason. The point I'm making is that when they get back, this idiot says, well, we're going to put them like under house arrest or house detention and force them to be back at their workplace so they can't just get up and leave. No, they need to be arrested, put them in jail, let them vote over the telephone, let them do it over a computer. They're giving leeway. You see what I mean? Oh, well, we can't say anything because they're congressmen and congresswomen. They're above the law, like my buddy Charles' famous movie Above the Law. See, that's bullshit. What kind of crap are these people feeding us? And if you're not waking up pissed off, you're not awake. Okay? Real simple. Every day it's something else. They're not doing the job. They don't want to arrest anybody, but yet they give these people some sort of special privileges. Now, let me tell you about diplomatic privilege, for instance. In diplomatic status, let's say I was a cop and I'm in the New York area because the United Nations is over there. Could be anywhere. And there's a car speeding right past me like 100 miles per hour, and I go after him. And he's got diplomatic plates. He pulls over, and I identify him. and he says, I'm late for a meeting at the United Nations. And by the way, he hit a pedestrian on the way through.
Oh, yeah, but okay.
Yeah. The body's flying all over the place, the bicycle and everything else. Okay. You know, like one of those stupid CAPTCHA things that you have to identify.
Identify all of their street lights. Boom, boom, boom.
Yeah, street lights, crosswalks, bicycles, boats, everything. And it's ridiculous. So anyway, point is, that officer would have to take the information on who that person is and let them go, because it's a diplomatic thing. They have immunity up to a point. Now, I've dealt with people like that at the border. That's what pissed customs officials and supervisors off, because they were scared. They were afraid that I was going to do something to a diplomat. And I said, no, I'm doing my job. If the guy's got cocaine, I'm going to arrest him and detain him and call the embassy and tell the head A1, which is the classification, to remove his status. And if he doesn't do that, we'll make a phone call back to the White House or Washington, D.C. and go through Department of State. Either way, that stuff doesn't move. It stays right there. If they try to force the issue and some supervisor forces the issue, okay, I'm keeping the vehicle with all the cocaine in it, let the guy go after I Xeroxed his ID and took pictures of him real quick. See, they play a game. They make it look like diplomatic status. In fact, a friend of mine, Steven Seagal, has diplomatic status with the Russian Federation. He's got dual citizenship. Don't you wish you had dual citizenship? There we go. There's a lot of people who have dual citizenship with Israel at the same time while serving this country. Now, that technically could be a conflict of interest because you owe allegiance to the United States.
Yes.
If you go get a duplicate citizenship, you also have to take a similar oath. You see what I mean?
Yeah. Well, we actually had have a guest who comes on the program regularly, and she knows who you are. She has a tremendous amount of respect for you. Her name is Michelle Stefanik, and she's
yes.
And she's attempting to. Well, she's writing. She wrote a book, and she's attempting to expose our government's complicity in 9/11 on Benghazi and in the African embassy bombing back in 1988, and she said that she had heard, and I've not been able to confirm this, and I have looked into it, maybe you can look into it too, that there's some sort of a thing that was passed where Jews born in the United States are automatically given dual citizenship with Israel. I don't see anything that I've been able to find to verify that. I know
I'll tell you.
I don't think you automatically get it when you're born.
Well, it's a procedure you have to go through, and I'll explain it as much as I know it. See, I had to be trained in U.S. Customs because that was my lead agency designation, and then I was cross-trained immigration. Now, I know some people that got passed through immigration tests because they failed it, which is not supposed to happen, but it happened. That one person I'm thinking of failed the academy in 1984, and he's now a supervisor. He owes them. That means they manipulate, they own him. See what I mean? But here's the thing. I think Bruce Willis was born in Germany, so therefore he's an American citizen born on a military base or U.S. property or U.S. Possessions in the United States or its possessions, that's the phrase, and of U.S. parents, but he can still claim and get a German passport as a dual citizenship by his location. Yeah. So that's just one example.
With John McCain, right? Wasn't John McCain in a
Yes, exactly. That's another good example. So you've got people who are American citizens doing that. But the problem is we got people born in Oakland in 1964, March, whose parents were not U.S. citizens at the time of her birth. She's an anchor baby, basically. She is not allowed to run for high office, period. If her parents were U.S. citizens at the time and were residents here for at least 10 years, I think is the other category, then they can run for high office and all that. Congress is failing and in violation of those laws. They're committing high treason. Again,
Congress. Barack Obama.
Yes. Oh, Barack Obama. That's been going on for years, and I've already been in touch with the Joe Arpaio team, Mark Zullo, a female investigator who changed over to another job, and she already confirmed, and other people confirmed the same information I know. You know, the 16 layers on the fake birth certificate, which was just a transfer template to a printer. When you transfer it to another and you type in whatever information you want.
Right.
And it was all inaccurate on some mistakes that they made. And Barack Obama, Mr. Sotoro, whatever, he has admitted that he was born in Mombasa, Kenya. He was there making a speech about it.
And the birth certificate, the fake birth certificate said African American, which I believe he was born in 61. And I don't think they were using the term African American in 1961. It was, I think it was still Negro at that point.
It was Negro, yes. Hey, Negro. You know, it's kind of a song thing. You're either an American or you're not. They want to play games with that. It's just the bullshit stuff that they want to get you involved in having to argue. Do not engage with people who want you to drop down at their game. They're playing a game. But I was going to say something about that because Barry had a passport, and I've got pictures of it. I've got a picture of it. I scan and come across all kinds of stuff. And they made a joke about it. It was funny. They showed him go like a Saturday Night Live type of situation where he's going into a DMV, and there's a white female DMV clerk, and she's asking him for his birth certificate to prove his citizenship. And he whips out his, seriously, he's talking serious because that's part of the routine anyway. And he's pulling out his document or birth certificate, and then she says, no, we want to see your real birth certificate. She knew.
Yeah.
At least that was the punchline thing. So I go, okay, cool. And they're rubbing it into your face, folks, like this.
Yeah.
Okay. See, talk to the hand, you know, it's such bullshit. And see, that's what they're into the point where they're in charge. They're in control. I've got intel from military sources and other sources claiming, well, we're still waiting to get everybody on board. And when we do, that's when the military is going to take action. Which side? Which side? You know, in the Civil War, they had the North and the South, you know, and at this point in time, they're talking about putting everybody under lockdown and door-to-door verifications and crap like that, which is unconstitutional. And every person who shows up with a gun or a badge at your door to violate your civil rights should be shot for high treason. They are violating high treason right there by doing that. Okay. So when I hear the other intel sources that I screen that too. They can't say, oh, this is 100% and here's the source and here's whatever. Good. Let me talk to the source. They could be lying about it too. See, I don't stay left and I don't stay right, depending on how you looked at that. I'm always being safe here in the middle, but I'm a conservative. I have to go that way. But the point is, I will verify it anyway. Trust in God. Verify all others. Okay?
Trust but verify.
Yes. See, and people don't get that. But if they're going to do something like that, they're wasting time. People are suffering every day. You know, I'm not doing too good, folks, and I'm being facetiously small about that. Okay? I've got other issues going on. A family member was in the hospital and all kinds of stuff. A lot of stress. You know, somebody even made a comment. I think I was looking at one of your shows. Now, I don't go offline and look at all of David's shows, folks. I have other research that I do, but on occasion I'll look at it and I'm pulling information about what he talks about. Or wait, this way. There we go.
There you go.
I'm going to do the point. Yeah. But the information, and I verify and I try to dig into the stuff that is put out, and we're always being blindsided by the left.
Oh, yeah.
Constantly. You know, why do they have access to the White House? They should have been kicked out years ago. You know, I almost arrested Judy Woodruff. She got a detention thing, and then Barbara Walters tried to make an entry. I should have just cuffed her up. See, this is hindsight where you go back and you go, God, I should have just cuffed her up right away.
And you know, with Barbara Walters, hindsight is 2020.
Exactly. And what's interesting is I've seen pictures of her, Judy Woodruff, and Oprah Winfrey.
Oprah Winfrey, yes.
Yeah, there's a weird connection. You know, her interviewing Trump and all these other things in the past. So I don't care, folks. MAGA, MAGA, MAGA. I voted for Trump twice, so don't give me any shitesing about
Right,
it.
exactly.
Okay? Don't give me any feedback on that, because I evaluate everybody when I see it, and I've seen signs of deception. Okay, fine. Can you give me some help? Which takes me back to that Marjorie Greene thing. If people would write or contact Marjorie Greene, she's a Republican out of Georgia. Technically, she's in the upper left quadrant of the state.
Everything good comes from Georgia.
Yes. Well, I went to training down there after Jimmy Carter changed the training facility in Washington, which is a small location in D.C. They switched it down to Brunswick, Georgia, FLETC, which is Federal Law Enforcement Training Center, or Glenn County, Georgia, or we called it Glencoe. So you'd fly over there, be put in a barracks on a former military base, AKA Langley type of a base.
Yeah.
And it was pretty good. I mean, they had everything. They had great food. It was a cafeteria. You'd go to class. You could work out. You could run. I usually worked out a little bit and ran. I would run on the base all over the place, just running, because that was the best exercise.
Yeah.
And it wasn't too bad. They didn't have everything like I would like to have it, like in martial arts or something, or judo, but just to keep up on techniques. But that's a 19-week academy. So anybody who's federal law enforcement, you can bet that they went through a 19-week academy. Unless you're FBI, you go down to Quantico. And then after you pass the 19-week at FLETC, you still go to a Secret Service thing 6 to 8 weeks after that. And then you get in-service training. That's Secret Service. FBI, they're at Quantico. Quantico is a military base shared with the Marines. And we had our training under EOD, Explosive Ordnance Detail or whatever, or bomb disposal, that kind of stuff. But that was just to teach us how to recognize things like that at 2 a.m. when it's totally dark, like a black briefcase sitting outside the British embassy that I happened to catch because nobody else was doing their jobs. Well, how come you saw this? See, I always get that question by idiot humans. Hey, how come you're the only one? How come you spotted it? How come this? How come that? Because I looked.
Did you get that from your coworkers too?
Oh, yeah.
What makes you special? How did you manage to catch that? You know?
Yeah, I did. I mean, that's a valid question, and I'll answer it because I'm looking. I'm looking at these people's responses, and I'm looking at what's going on. What was that picture? You had the Biden picture. I have to throw that up because you didn't mention the ear, David. The ear.
Oh yeah.
The nose was way off, but
everything's off. But yeah.
Yeah, the ear was not matched at all. So I had to throw that in there because I saw it the other day. But that's a good one too. But yeah, people were wondering. I had guys working next to me at the border at San Ysidro because I work Calexico too. It's the same. You're going, wait a minute, I'm catching loads. I'm processing cars. Yeah. Now somebody misquoted the amount of cars that were being passed as upwards of about, I think it was, let me go to Marjorie's site there real quick, because somebody actually posted a comment, and then I posted some cool stuff that I had. Oh, here it is. Some guy said that they made a statement about 45,000 units per day, 1,000 agents, which works out to like 6 vehicles per hour. Well, that's totally wrong. When I was there, the actual processing rates are about 120 to 150 per half hour. Do your math, 4 hours on, 4 hours in the other area doing searches. On an 8-hour shift, you're going to process 57,600. Then you multiply that times 3, which is a 24-hour time frame, because you don't just work 8 hours. It's a 24 port of entry, 24-hour port of entry. That's actually approximately 172,800. So now you can see where, I just came back. Now you can see where the stats weren't being recorded properly, and they have counters, you know, and I'm involved in doing that stuff too when I was at the border. But you see, that's part of the dog and pony show, is that they really don't know what they're telling you, and by the time they take it back to the office, they're giving misinformation or it wasn't explained. They need somebody like John Carmen to be on site or access with a paycheck, because I don't get the retirement and I still don't get Social Security. So I can give them what's really going on. Hey, John, is that true? Nope, that's not true. Here's what really happens. They need somebody like me that has that hands-on experience to tell them what's really going on. The shipping containers coming from foreign countries have to be cleared on a computer 3 days before it lands. If I don't want to have an intensive inspection on it, it comes into Long Beach or New York or Houston or Miami or some other major port of entry without an inspection. They have been loading stuff through like crazy. They're smuggling stuff by the odds. If a cartel is worth billions and billions of dollars, Chapo hasn't called me back yet. Chapo, give me a call, man. I need some money. Because Trump didn't do the thing with the $250 billion thing. And I'm being facetious and joking about it, but I know other information where you wouldn't believe what I know. See what I mean? People have no idea of the stuff and the context, and the people I've talked to. But that kind of money is outrageous. If they want to load up 1,000 sea containers and only 1 or 2 get checked, that is the actual statistics, is 1 or 2% get checked nationally, then they're letting in hundreds or thousands nationwide in 1 8-hour shift, thousands and thousands and thousands without being checked.
Wow.
Do the math. If it's 1 million, divide that by 1% or 2%, just to be generous. That's how much they have the manpower to check. They don't have enough manpower to check everything. That's the whole point. It's a Trojan horse every day. Right now, they're smuggling. Right now, look at your watch. They're smuggling right now. And they're shoving in fentanyl, narcotics at the highest levels because they know that they can beat the odds. It's like a Las Vegas, dice toss or something. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
yeah, they're taking their chances because they know that only 1 or 2% are going to get inspected and checked out. And they say, well, and if for some reason we get caught, we get caught. But chances are we're not going to get caught, so we're going to go ahead and do this. Unbelievable.
Well, see, that's my other expertise. And some people hate that when I have to say that, but I have to say it because it's true. If they don't know what they do when they smuggle, they can smuggle it in on the person. They can smuggle it in a vehicle. It won't be in the trunk. It won't be under the hood necessarily. It'll be in a secret compartment. It may even be in the tire.
Can it be sewn into the upholstery?
Oh yeah, the upholstery, under the seats, in the gas tank. A brand new car, a brand new gas tank, no oil, no sludge on it, nothing. And they can take a brand new vehicle, spend the money on it, and put it all in the gas tank. A bunch of meth, a package so big. Yeah. And that's enough to pay for everything. See what I mean? Yeah. They have the money. They would smuggle the hydro tanker incident, which is a true thing. If you look on my website, customscorruption.com, I'm getting goosey because I can't even spell it on my Facebook account because then it gets blocked. Every time I send my signature stuff, I have my site and I put the Dark Outpost information as well. Right. And if I put the customs address or the acronym for it, I have to cut it out to send a message with my signature line. So yeah. Facebook is screening me continually. I mean, I'm any day now, they'll probably just totally block me. Shadow banning is nothing.
Oh, and it's only going to get worse now. It's going to get worse.
But this is why I get the death threats. I mean, yeah, I know about how they smuggle. Air, land, sea, tunnels, military, emphasis military, El Toro Marine Corps base around, what was it, 1998. And I sent a VHS tape to a congressman you may have heard of up in Palm Springs by the name of Sonny Bono.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. And that was my little 2-hour lecture tape, and I had them switched over to DVDs. But back then it was a VHS. I called the office, told them right up front who I was, or am at that time, a customs official, that I wanted to give him a special tape that I did at the Granada Forum. And they've interviewed lots of people there. That was the biggest deal, is we didn't have access to Dark Outpost back then. 1995, 96, 97, 98. That's when I went public in 95. But they got the tape on a priority mail within 2-3 days. Within 7 days, he was killed at that alleged skiing accident. Right around that time frame, there was some stuff going on at El Toro Marine Corps Air Base where Jim Sabo was killed as well. That base has been shut down and converted. It's still not totally shut down, but there are people living on it, and they're experiencing all kinds of things. Maybe it's a illegal dump for radioactive material, like my friend Nick Mancuso was talking about up in Toronto. And that's real, folks. Our country's being used in so many bad ways that they don't want to tell you that dump over there contains big barrels of radioactive cake that they can't use for weapons grade, but it can be still damaging enough to make you sick or die. But anyway, that's kind of another deal. But I want to make sure I mention the Sonny Bono thing, because people don't get it. I knew Gary Webb, dead.
Yeah.
2 gunshot wounds to the head. I knew Mike Rupert, 1 gunshot to the head. He was so frustrated, and I understand the frustration. But this is right around the Chris Dorner case, who was the ex-LAPD police officer, black guy, real nice guy. And he was also military previous to that. I think he was a Marine. And he got set up, and a training officer basically did something that was illegal. He reported it, and they came back on it because of it. And he was not a rookie. So he ended up losing his life eventually. This is what they do to whistleblowers, folks, and people don't get that. They think that, oh, you're doing fine. Yeah, notice the decor and the nice Monet painting behind me thing, right? Yeah, you like that? Isn't that cool? Isn't that cool? Yeah.
Not even stucco, folks. Not even stucco.
Yeah. People don't get it.
No, they and you know what, they and that's the thing. People don't realize, and of course we spent a little bit of time talking about what you did for this country. We've talked plenty about the great work that you've done for this country, but I don't think we've spent a ton of time talking about what it is that got you in the situation it is right now, which was doing your duty and reporting on corruption within your agency that you worked for. And because of that, instead of being rewarded for turning in the bad guys, which is what your job was, even if they're amongst your own fellow workers, you became ostracized and obliterated from basically the face of the planet Earth by your superiors. Let's go into that a little bit, John.
Yeah, well, let me be clear about the fact that every agency has its own issues, even Secret Service, which is the epitome of law enforcement, because we're highly trained. I was 1 in 1,500 qualified applicants. Not just anybody could just apply. Okay, so you have to weed out all these other people, and even other people in law enforcement right now could not make that job. Even other Secret Service agents could not be presidential protection and so on and so forth. When I saw certain indicators, I made reports even back then. And I had prior undercover work prior to that. So I know what goes on military bases. So military bases, military family, federal law enforcement, Secret Service, San Diego PD, they had issues. U.S. Mint, they had issues. I did investigations on gold that was being stolen from inside the mint. How about that one? Is that a little precious or not?
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm skipping the Hinckley stuff and the embassies and the bombings. I was less than 2 blocks away when they set off a bomb right next to the Russian embassy at 1609 16th Street. There, I said an address, folks. Look it up. They've moved the embassy since then, but that's on the other side of the Washington Post. But when you feel the vibration 1.5, 2 blocks away, that's serious. Of course, we all had to grab our stuff because we were on break because it was wintertime or whatever. And then we're all running down the street. Forget getting into a car or whatever. We're just that close. We run down the street. You can run 100 yards, 200 yards, Secret Service, San Diego PD, U.S. Mint, investigating the gold thefts, private investigator, then U.S. Customs. And it's not out in the open like people may think. They don't understand what reporting requirements are. If you see evidence of bribery, that's the first thing they teach you at the academy. 18 U.S.C. 201. 18 U.S.C. 201. The 18 code that I keep quoting is the criminal code that the U.S. attorneys use all the time when they convict you and put you in prison. That's the stuff they use on criminal codes. Title 19 is the administrative code when I want to seize your boat, your house, your plane, your bank accounts under the administrative laws, seizure, asset seizure, forfeiture fund type stuff, which is a federal guideline and a federal law, but state and local law enforcement are also learning to use it too. So when they seize your money because you're doing drugs, then they're going to go after your bank accounts and all your assets. But yeah, I made reports to Internal Affairs. I can still remember the local phone number, 619-557-5581, if I'm not mistaken. Internal Affairs people are corrupt too. That's why I got attacked after I left the agency in '98.
What percentage of these agencies would you say are corrupt?
All of them.
No. I don't mean percentage. I mean like within the Customs Department, 20% corruption, 10% within the Internal Affairs, 10% corruption, 20% corruption.
That's a good question. I'm trying to figure out a good proper answer because I would automatically say 20% just because we're talking. But it's probably less, I hope, a lot less. And they'll claim, it's only 1, 2, 3%, 5%. Okay. Then what about all the supervisors that got promoted illegally? What about the people that are taking money left and right? Those guys that get caught are throwaway cases. They are gratuitous cases to throw you off and make you think that only the inspectors, agents at the border processing you to come into the country again or not, or first time or whatever, are the ones that are actually the dirty ones. I've actually had an Internal Affairs guy in court. I was monitoring a court case. I've testified in at least 1 or 2 court cases for other people. So I'm a qualified expert in certain criteria and agency and procedures. But this idiot actually was making it look like, only the inspectors on the line, the people you come into contact with when you come from a foreign country, those guys are the dirty ones. No. I came from inside the agency. I was not dirty or corrupt. The supervisors are the ones that are dirty and corrupt, and those people are not arrested on a routine basis. In fact, I posted a special statistic on my website years ago. I don't know if it's still there because it's been attacked and removed or whatever. Customscorruption.com, go to page 2. But on page 1, there's a statistical data sheet that showed drug use by customs officials in U.S. Customs Service during the early 90s, right around that time frame. And specifically supervisors were using cocaine. It wasn't just pills, marijuana,
Now they were using the cocaine that was that they got from agents at the border who confiscated it.
Yes.
Okay.
I've had people dig into evidence that I've actually seized evidence, and it was in a seizure locker, and who has access to it, and they would steal it out of there. That is an internal security issue. That's an automatic phone call to Internal Affairs, and they didn't handle it. So when you go through Internal Affairs, People think, oh, you have to go through the chain of command. I did that to prove a point. Because if you don't do it a certain way, they come back on you and say, oh, you didn't go through this hurdle or jump this hurdle or go through that.
That's the equivalent of a police officer not reading a suspect their rights, the Miranda rights.
Right.
Well, you didn't do it this way, so on, because
you
didn't follow the right procedure because of some technicality, you're screwed.
Yeah, and that's something we had to learn at the academy. I'd have to go back and clear my brain here for a second. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you in a court of law. And up to the point about saying, do you understand these rights, and would you like an attorney present for us to interrogate or ask you questions? If I have no intention of asking you interrogative questions, just your name and date of birth, after that I can write a whole report anyway on what I saw.
Yeah.
But if it requires that I ask a question, or if the person says, no, I don't want to talk to you, that's a refusal right there. In fact, some people or some agencies will even give you a document to sign it. And if they can get you to sign something, I'm trying to cover up a piece of paper. Here, would you sign this? And it means you've read your rights and you acknowledge them and you want to talk to them. That means they're documented for the U.S. attorney, so there's no way you can come back and say that you did it under duress.
Right.
And while we're at it, under duress, VC 1303, vi conactus, or whatever the Latin was, if you're asked to sign anything, like say some fact checkers or people at the door, knock, 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 if you had your COVID shot today and they want you to sign something forcefully, you could put VC 1303 and your name, John Hancock, Howard Hughes, whatever name thing. That's sort of a thing, a disclaimer that says that you were under duress. So it goes to court. Oh, did you sign that? Yeah, it's under duress. There you go. VC 1303. How many people have attorneys that know that? How many of you know that? Look it up. It's a good one.
I would say I pleaded ignorance to it, so I'm just learning it from you right now.
Yeah, and that's just something they ask you to do. I memorized it real quick. I mean, if you watch Dragnet, God bless Jack Webb. If you watch that, you already know your rights, right?
Yeah.
But here's the other disclaimer. See, I could tell you what you're supposed to do, and I'm going to tell you what really happens. And then they turn right around and say, well, federal judges or state judges have ruled that even though they read you your rights and they still violated it and talked to you, or they did it to elicit a response and you kept talking, it was your fault that you talked, and it wasn't the intent of the officer. So they're trying to protect the officers or agents or whoever that do a certain thing, which they're lying to set you up. Now, normally I wouldn't say that years ago because I never did that. You don't have to. You can talk to somebody and you can help them out. And if they're going to do serious time, you can just tell them the facts. Say, look, you got caught cold. If you want to cooperate, I'll talk to the guy or the U.S. attorney or whoever, and we can maybe work out a deal. But you know what these deals are like? It's like the Bill Cosby case. Oh yeah, we're not going to go against you criminally. Make them sign it. It goes to a judge. Even though you may make a deal, this is defense work now. I'm talking defense work as a private investigator thing. If you sign something that agrees to a prosecutor that they will not prosecute you if you cooperate,
right,
and you sign it expecting that you're not going to get prosecuted, the judge could overturn it anyway, unless there's some sort of a mandate or it's under statutory law versus something else, which means
but wouldn't the judge in this, as an example, what you're saying is absolutely correct, obviously, because a prosecutor can make an agreement with an individual and the judge can overrule it. But wouldn't that, in the case of Bill Cosby, have occurred at the time that this document was signed? In other words, the judge would have thrown it out at that point and said, no, you can't do that. The fact is, I think the judge signed off on it, and then another prosecutor, in fact, it wasn't even the same prosecutor that signed the agreement with Cosby. Another prosecutor came in and prosecuted him on the case, And that's when it got overturned because I think a previous judge did sign off on it.
Well, literally, that's why you need some sort of a document,
Yeah.
So, but dissecting that even more is the fact that case, the Bill Cosby case, was so stupid and ludicrous. You can't come back 30 years later and claim something happened. And I'm former law enforcement, and I'm going to say flat out, did you
Other
call
than
the police?
murder and treason, there's no statute of limitations.
True,
on those two. But other than that, a rape case allegation, you wait 30 years. I mean, come on. Seriously.
That's like the Kavanaugh case. See, they got away with lying. And that involves Senator Feinstein's office, who I just wrote recently, again, because you have to sign a waiver. They won't accept an electronic authorization. They have to send you a hard copy, or you have to have a printer. Folks, I don't have a printer. If I had a printer, I could say, no problem, print up the authorization thing, fill out the information, type it up somehow on the technology that I don't have necessarily, and sign it, put it in an envelope, mail it off. Now they can officially say, oh yeah, we got your authorization, so now we can look into your case. Bullshit.
Yeah.
Okay, we went paperless years ago, and it's a legal contract electronically anyway. I could put it right on an email, say, I hereby authorize you to investigate criminal activity by the U.S. government for denying me my retirement and Social Security, blah, blah, blah. Under penalty of perjury in the state that I live, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so you sign that, date it, and send it off. See, they're trying to cover themselves in another way. But back with the Kavanaugh case, back with the Bill Cosby case, like I was saying, you can't come back 30 years later and say, well, somebody had Rohypnol dropped in their drink and they passed out and they didn't know what happened. But they're coming back to accuse him because some lady wrote a letter. This is what the Democrats do. They lie. They're Marxist communists. Adam Schiff will make something up and lie, and they think that's okay. No, that's a violation of law. 18 U.S.C. 1001, if I remember correctly. You can't just lie to a federal official. You can go to prison for it, and I know people that have been in prison for what, up to 18 months, something like that, or less than a year. It's all about a game on how much they can get you on. U.S. attorneys get brownie points and promotional points because they got some sort of a conviction rate, that type of thing. They never followed through on the laws anyway. They only want the ones where are real serious and it's a juicy case or something. But people are suffering because they're lies.
Yeah.
So even the FBI has been caught at doing that stuff for years, and I knew an FBI agent that quit his job over it. They've changed over the years. I think Comey was probably the director back in 2007. So if he was, all those cases ever since that he was in office, all of them are questionable. That means people can go back and get appeals done. But the Ninth Circuit is the dirtiest circuit in the whole United States. And Trump even quoted it after I told him. I told Trump stuff like that too. I've got hundreds of emails that I've sent to those people, and I still don't get a response. In fact, I had one follower who's also a loyal listener and watcher of the show, said they sent a letter to the address down in Florida, and it got kicked back to them, not deliverable or something like that, return to sender. So either they're refusing certain mail. I don't know what it looked like. I'd have to look at the letter, but that's what I was told. See, I question what I'm told by other people. I don't care who they are. I'm going to evaluate it. Is it true? If it was, then I can move this way. If it wasn't true, I'm going to cancel that out and do something else. You see, there's always evaluations 24/7. If people understood the criteria for evaluating that stuff, they would be mind-boggled. Anyway,
Unbelievable.
Other subjects.
So you went through hell, and you're still going through hell. The reason I want to bring this up is because I want people to help you out. And so, for folks, if you don't know, John Carmen,
You put the hat on.
What this guy did for this country, none of us will ever come close, in my view, to doing the good work that John Carmen has done to protect this nation. I mean, think of the capacities: Secret Service agent, customs agent, private investigator, police officer. I mean, military family he grew up in. All right. This guy's always been of public service to this country, and he does a job. He's doing one of these jobs as a customs agent and uncovers corruption within his own department. And he says, look, I am supposed to uphold the law and defend the Constitution of the United States. And if my own people are doing something they're not supposed to be doing, I'm going to report it. And he goes through the system. And I want to go into this a little bit. We're going to take a break right after this so that for like 5 minutes. When we come back, I want to get into your story.
Sure.
But when he reports this, instead of being applauded and saying, you know what, we're going to root out this corruption and everything else. And I can understand his own department being against him, folks, but not the higher ups, not the people that are responsible for getting your Social Security, any benefits you're entitled to, transferring you to another government agency where you can perform your services there. No, instead this guy gets ostracized, and now he's got nothing, and we need to help him. So if you have Venmo, and this is important, please contribute to John Carmen at john.a.carmen@gmail.com. That's john.a.carmen@gmail.com. A little bit later on, I'll put a physical address on the screen that you can send stuff. But believe me, he's not asking for a handout. He's asking to be put back to work. So please, a lot of you have helped him out. We need to help this man out. He's a great guy. Now, what we're going to do right now is we're going to take a quick 4-minute break, and then when we come back, we'll ask John to go into the details about this a little bit. We're still going to talk about some news items as well, but I want to get into John Carmen's story of how he uncovered this corruption and all of that as we continue in just a moment. So, John, stick around, and we will be back in just a couple of moments.